Hello, everybody. I want to say, first off, happy holidays and welcome back to my podcast for another episode. And I want to first off by saying, back last episode, we talked about the New Year's Six bowl matchups and some other bowl matchups that happened after the conference championship games, and the college football playoff committee selected their four teams, which were Georgia number one, Michigan number two, TCU number three, and Ohio State number four. So, and I'm here to in the other four New Year's Six bowl games. I'm here to get my predictions and talk about what I think is going to happen during these games that's about to come up, because bowl season is upon us, and and they start this Friday weekend. So, well, not the New Year's Six bowl games, but they start later on New Year's Eve, December 31st. So, but first, let's talk about the Cricket Celebration Bowl between NC Central and Jackson State. As some of y'all know from our last episode, that Deion Sanders is taking the Colorado job and will be leaving after this game. But like I said, he's going to be coaching his last game as head coach. So we'll see if Jackson State can complete the first undefeated season in school history. And for this game, I'm going to predict Jackson State will win 38-17 against NC Central, because I think Jackson State is really too good on both sides of the ball, with Shedeur Sanders, who's going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate when he transfers to Colorado. You also got some real good receivers. They can run the ball. On defensive side of the ball, they got some real good playmakers like Travis Hunter and Shallow Sanders at safety position. So I think they pretty much will dominate this game. Last year they lost in the Cricket Celebration Bowl to South Carolina State, and I know that has a little bit bad taste in their mouth, so they got some unfinished business. So I think Jackson State will beat North Carolina Central. And this game is usually between the winner of the MEAC and the SWAC. So this will be in Atlanta, Georgia. So pretty much I think this weekend, should be either this weekend or next weekend. But I think Jackson State will finish undefeated after this game. Next we have the New Year's Six Cotton Bowl. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl that we played in Jerry's World between number 16 Tulane and number 10 USC. Now Tulane they did, as I predicted, win the American Conference over UCF. They beat them 45-28 in the American Championship game. They're the highest ranked non-group of five. So for some of y'all that, like I said in my last episode, they don't know, for New Year's Six bowls, the College Football Playoff Committee gives it to the highest ranked non-group of five. So any team that's not in the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the SEC, the ACC, any of those conferences, get a New Year's Six bowl bid if they're not selected in the college football playoff. And Tulane was the highest ranked group of five, non-group of five team, ranked at 16 in the college football poll top 25. So, and the best, now Tulane's a real good team. I ain't gonna lie. Last year they was terrible. I think they only won like one or two games, and they had a real bounce back year. They are 11-2. Their best win came on the road, like I said in last episode, against Kansas State, 17-10. So they upset Kansas State, who beat TCU in the Big 12 championship game, who's also going to be playing Alabama, which I will get to that soon into this show. Now this game right here is going to be pretty competitive. So, but like I said, on to their opponent, number 10 USC, who's also 11-2. But Even though now as a future sports analyst, we're not gonna always be right about predictions and everything. So I did predict USC to beat Utah in the Pac-12 championship game, and they lost again to Utah. This time 47-24 in the Pac-12 championship. USC was doing good in the first half, but Utah came back and started putting a beating on them. Caleb Williams ended up getting hurt, but he stayed in the game, so obviously he wasn't 100%. He was pretty much limping around. And I think Lincoln Riley was going to take him out the game, but Caleb Williams didn't want to come out. He wanted to fight and win for his team because they had a chance to possibly make the college football playoff. They was ranked number 4. But this past weekend, though, Caleb Williams did win the Heisman Trophy. He is your 2022 Heisman Trophy winner. He finished first over Max Duggan, C.J. Stroud, and Stetson Bennett from Georgia. So, and Lincoln Riley, he is a quarterback and Heisman guru. I would give him that because he coached Baker Mayfield, won the Heisman, number overall pick. He coached Kyler Murray, back-to-back Heisman Trophy winners at Oklahoma. He went number 1 overall. And Jalen Hurts, who was quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, he finished as a Heisman finalist from when he transferred from Alabama. When people thought he couldn't be a quarterback at the next level at the NFL because he lost a job to Tua when they was both at Alabama, and he turned him around. He ended up being a second-round pick, and now he's an MVP candidate right now in the NFL for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll give it Lincoln Riley. He can coach some quarterbacks, offense. Now, the only thing he can't do is coach defense. At Oklahoma, it seems like that's the one thing that's keeping him from winning a national championship is defense. He needs defense. He got to hire somebody to be able to coach defense. So until then, Lincoln Riley going to always keep coming short of winning a national championship. He may get to the playoff, but if they don't get better on defense, USC won't be winning no national championships anytime soon. So, but for my score, now I thought back and forth with this because I'm like, okay, is Caleb Williams going to play? Tulane's a really good team. And they going to obviously, and USC defense is not good at all. But I think Caleb Williams and them got some unfinished business. I think he will play. So I'm going to go USC 40, Tulane 36, with USC winning the Goodyear Cotton Bowl against Tulane at Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Next, we have the Rose Bowl, which is nicknamed the granddaddy of them all. We got number 11 Penn State, who finished the regular season 10-2, 7-2 in conference play. Now, they don't really have a signature win. I guess the one that you could say is against Minnesota. That was 45-17. But they do have a great head coach in James Franklin, who I do think is a real good college football coach. But I didn't really see, watching all year, I didn't really see Penn State jump out or flashy or doing anything popped out to me. So, and then they lost to both Michigan and Ohio State because they're in the same conference in the Big Ten as Ohio State and Michigan, and they lost to both of them. And then their opponent, they will be playing number 8 Utah, 10-3. They finished regular season 10-3. They finished 10-3. They won the Pac-12 championship against USC, who I predict they would lose to, beat them 47-24, and they beat them in the regular season 43-42. So now Utah's a real good team. They've been somewhere in the middle of the pack. They did lose to Florida earlier on in the season, and they lost to UCLA in a thriller, and they also lost to Oregon. So they could have been a college football playoff potential team if they didn't have 3 losses, but they did win back-to-back Pac-12 championships last year and this year. They got a great quarterback in Cameron Rising. who I seen play, and he's a pretty decent quarterback. So, but last year Utah did make the Rose Bowl last year, a New Year's Six Bowl, but they lost to Ohio State in a thriller in that game. They was up, but Ohio State came back and ended up winning that game. So, but now this year, I think Utah will bounce back. I think there'll be too much for Penn State. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how Penn State defense really is. The offense, I don't think the offense is really all that flashy. So I think Utah's going to win 41-20. I got Utah 41-20 in this game, and they will be Rose Bowl champions this year. Next, we have the All-State Sugar Bowl, another New Year's Six Bowl game between Kansas State and Alabama. Kansas State is ranked number 9. They're 10-3. They beat number 3 TCU, who's in the college football playoff, which I will get to that matchup. They beat them, who was undefeated, and they beat them 31-28. Kansas State has the best defense in the Big 12. So they only gave up 17 points per game on average. And they got a Defensive Player of the Year, Felix Ozama, if I pronounce that wrong. Defensive end. They also got Deuce Vaughn, running back, who has over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns this season. In the Big 12 championship game, he had 26 carries, 130 yards, and a touchdown against TCU in the Big 12 championship game. Now, Kansas State did start off the year with Adrian Martinez as their quarterback, but he ended up getting hurt. So Will Howard took his place and has thrown over 1,423 yards, 15 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. So he's been playing pretty well in replace of Adrian Martinez, who transferred from Nebraska. And we got Alabama. Now, before I start this, I know some Alabama fans are not going to take this game serious. I advise y'all to take this serious because the last time Alabama was in the All-State Sugar Bowl, they got obliterated by Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl because Alabama, they got standards of winning national championships, and that's fine. But it's still a New Year's Six Bowl game, a pretty high bowl that's played in New Orleans in the Caesars Dome where the Saints play. So, yeah, but Alabama just missed out on the college football playoff. They finished 5th with a 10-2 record. They beat Auburn 49-27 in their last game. But the questions are, will Bryce Young and Will Anderson play? Because both of them are projected to be top 5 picks in the 2023 NFL Draft, which is in late April, yeah. And they already have multiple players enter the transfer portal, including players on their starting offensive line. And now I will say, like, will the rest of the team be motivated to play for players who will be back at Alabama? Will they be motivated to play because they're not competing for a national championship? Will they take Kansas State too lightly? Which I think they might. So those are some questions right there that I have about Alabama. And like I said, Kansas State is a pretty good team. I ain't gonna lie, I did not see them coming this year. But I will say that I wanted to pick Kansas State, but you know what? I will pick Kansas State. I'm gonna go Kansas State 33, Alabama 30. I'm gonna go ahead, upset alert, right there, upset alert. Kansas State will beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl because I don't think Alabama will be motivated. I think they'll be more taking Kansas State too lightly. So, and probably maybe Bryce Young, Will Anderson might not play because during this time, a lot of top players who prepare for the NFL Draft skip the bowl games to prepare for the next level. So I think Kansas State, I'm going to go Kansas State. That's my upset right there. Kansas State will beat Alabama. So next New Year's Six bowl game we have is the Orange Bowl. I call this one the Battle of the Orange. Well, so does ESPN. They call it the Battle of the Orange. Between number 7 Clemson, who finished 11-2, and number 6 Tennessee, who's 10-2. Now, DJ Uiagalelei transferred after being benched in the ACC championship game against North Carolina and losing his job, so they won't have their quarterback they started the season with. Instead, they would have freshman quarterback Cade Klubnik, who is now their starting quarterback. Cade finished. He was the number 1 pocket passer in the 2022 class at ESPN 300. He was a 5-star recruit. Cade finished 20 of 24 for 279 yards and a touchdown, with 7 carries for 30 yards and a touchdown against North Carolina. So he played really well. They won 39-10 against North Carolina, against Drake May, who was supposed to be a Heisman Trophy candidate, and they obliterated North Carolina. So Clemson has won the ACC for the most part majority of the past decade, besides last year when Pitt won the ACC. Now they also got Will Shipley at running back, and of course Dabo, who I think is the second best college football coach in the country behind Nick Saban. Next we have Tennessee. Like I said, they are ranked number 6, 10-2. They didn't make the ACC championship game, and bad news is the starting quarterback Hendon Hooker suffered a season knee injury or leg injury at South Carolina before the season had ended, so he will not be able to play it, obviously. Instead, senior quarterback Joe Milton is the starter now. He went 11 for 21, 147 yards and a touchdown, and a 56-0 win against Vanderbilt. I mean, that's good, but Vanderbilt ain't really too much to talk about when it comes to football, even though they have been better this year. I think they won like 5 games, even though we all predicted for them to only win 2. So Hendon Hooker finished 5th in Heisman voting with 3,135 yards, 27 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. Oh, sorry. Jalen Hyatt won the Biletnikoff Award for the nation's best receiver. So in the Battle of the Orange, I went back and forth with this one because even though they don't have Hendon Hooker, I think Tennessee has a chance to win this game because Clemson, they're not exactly the same powerhouse as they kind of used to be, maybe at least for this year. But I will say that Clemson will find a way to win, and I got Clemson 26-23 over Tennessee in the Orange Bowl, Battle of the Orange, which will be played at Hard Rock Stadium, where the Miami Dolphins play in Miami, Florida. So watch out for that game. So now let's get to the college football playoff semifinal games. First up, we have the Fiesta Bowl between number 3 TCU, who's the 3 seed, 12-1, versus number 2 Michigan, who's the 2nd seed, and they're 13-0. Now, TCU did lose their conference championship game 31-28, but they lost it to a top 10 ranked Kansas State team, and it was a close game. So they finished the regular season undefeated prior to that loss. So that was a conference championship game, not a regular season. Their starting quarterback, Max Duggan, finished 2nd in Heisman voting. And they also have a superstar receiver in Quentin Johnston, who is 6'4", 215 pounds, had 53 catches for 903 yards and 5 touchdowns. So he had a pretty good year. And from seeing the early draft boards, he's projected to be one of the top receivers in this upcoming year's NFL draft. They'll be going against number 2 Michigan, who is 13-0. They beat Purdue 43-22 in the Big Ten championship game. Now, they also beat former number 2 Ohio State who was 11-0 at Ohio State. They beat them 45-23. Now Michigan, with them winning the Big Ten championship game again, they're back to back Big Ten champs. They won it last year against Iowa. Now they also did make the college football playoff last year, but they did get obliterated in the Orange Bowl semifinal game against the defending national champions Georgia. Now they won't have no Blake Corum, who's their star player. He got hurt against Ohio State. He was going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. So they'll be without him, but their backup running back, number 7, he has been running the ball real good. So I think they'll be okay, at least for this game. So, and plus, JJ McCarthy has been throwing the ball very well. Now, like I said, Michigan's more of a run the ball team, so I think they'll be okay. And they play really great defense, coached by Jim Harbaugh. Now, my score for this game, I know some people think this game might be close, but I don't know. TCU, I don't know if they're ready for a pounding to stop Michigan's running game. So I'm going to have to go 46-24 Michigan beating TCU in this semifinal game, and Michigan advancing to the national championship game that would be played in Los Angeles in Inglewood. Now to the other semifinal game, the Peach Bowl that will be played in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Mercedes-Benz Dome, again with number 4 Ohio State, who's 11-1. Now they lost to Michigan at home, who's ranked number 3, 45-23. Now they did get obliterated, but I still think Ohio State deserved to get in because they was undefeated for the most part up until that point. Now the bad news is they won't have no Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's their best receiver, who's projected to be a top pick, a first-round pick in the NFL draft. He got hurt earlier on in the season and only played like 2 games. So, and plus, he's not medically cleared. He will be skipping this playoff game to prepare for the NFL draft. But they do have Marvin Harrison Jr., who's a outstanding true sophomore who balled out last year in the Rose Bowl game with 3 touchdown catches. So he's the real deal. And he's the son of Marvin Harrison, who played for the Indianapolis Colts. And he's pretty much a future Hall of Famer. So, and his son seems like he's a real good route runner, has speed. So, just like his dad. So, CJ Stroud did finish 3rd in the Heisman voting, back-to-back, 30 plus touchdown passes in a season. Now, now the defense do got to step up for them to be able to compete in this game against Georgia, because a lot of people think this game can be close and that Ohio State can possibly upset Georgia. Now, the only way that happen is Ohio State defense steps up. I think their offense can possibly score the ball, but it won't be easy against that Georgia defense. In Georgia, they beat LSU 50-30 in the SEC championship game. So they pretty much toyed with them and pretty much beat them down the whole game. They beat former number 1 Tennessee. Now, Tennessee was ranked number 1. When the college football playoff polls first came out, Tennessee was ranked number 1. They beat them at home 27-13. They got the best defense at FBS, only giving up 11 points per game. They had some amazing talent on the defense side of the ball with Jalen Carter, a defensive tackle, who's projected to be a top 5 pick in the 2023 NFL draft. They also got Ringo at corner, so they got some good players. Stetson Bennett finished 4th in Heisman voting, and they're also the defending national champions, beating Alabama last year in the national championship game. So they're looking for a back-to-back national championship since 2011, 2012. Alabama did it back when they did it. So Alabama was the last team to win back-to-back national championships, 2011, 2012. Now, I already knew I wanted for this game, but I'm thinking like, well, I think it'll be close. I'll say maybe the first three, somewhere between the first three quarters it might, but I think Georgia will pull away in the fourth quarter and beat Ohio State 53-28. So yeah, I think there'll be too much Georgia for Ohio State, and I got Georgia moving on to the national championship game to defend their title against Michigan. So now for that matchup, I won't give my prediction until the national championship game is set. I'm gonna save that for y'all, and I want to get y'all opinion on that matchup if it happens between Georgia and Michigan, or whoever ends up advancing to the national championship game. Now, like I said, in my head, I kind of have who I have winning, but I'm gonna save that for y'all. I don't want to give everything out all at once. Got to say the good stuff for a later date. But yeah, I think it's gonna be some good games, some pretty good matchups. My favorite matchup will be between I think Kansas State and Alabama. Like I said, my upset with my dark horse is Kansas State and Alabama. Now I was gonna pick Alabama, but I feel like you know what? Why not pick Kansas State? Because I feel like Kansas State got pretty good offense. I think Alabama will be not really too motivated because they set a higher standard for themselves to win national championships. They don't really take bowl games, even a New Year's Six bowl game, too seriously. Now, if Alabama wins, would it shock me? No. If they show up to play, if Bryce Young and Will Anderson will play. So, it all depends on that. And I just want everybody to enjoy these games. You know, comment down below what you think, who's going to win, your prediction, whether you disagree with me or not. Because like I said, I'm not always right, but I do come with my research before every show. So I won't just come up here and just talk about stuff I don't know and without any sources or stats to back up my predictions or my take on every show I do. So, but I hope y'all enjoy this episode 4 of my episode 3 of my show. Pardon me, that of these New Year's Six bowl games, and the next one we will talk about the results. Well, yeah, the results of these games. But next we're also going to be talking about NBA. There's going to be a topic, NFL, because the NFL season is getting closer to the playoffs. Who's going to make it? Who's the favorite? Who's the Super Bowl contender? Or who's the NBA Finals contender? So, yeah, we will see. But I thank all y'all for watching. You know, right now we're only a small show, as you can see. Doing the show here in my house, but I know that as I keep doing more and more shows, that I will get my name out there, because one day you will see me on ESPN, Fox Sports, or NFL Network, or maybe even NBA on ESPN. So, but I thank all of y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time.